Shalom, brothers and sisters. It's the Hebrew Life again. I'm Base Jerusalem, and I'm back with another one. We're going to call this one Gehazi, black man, white skin. I'll repeat. We're going to call this one Gehazi, black man, white skin. Now, most people don't know, in 2 Kings, there was a man by the name of Gehazi. He was a servant of Elisha, and he did some, greedy things for the love of money, for the love of dirty lucre. And he was cursed by Elijah for these things. And his curse is very, very, I wouldn't say weird, but it sticks out among curses that was put on a lot of other people within the scriptures. And I find it very funny that elders and other people who call themselves brothers in this truth don't understand and don't talk about this thing, because there could very well be somebody who looks to be Caucasian or looks to be a white person, but the whole time he could be a black man. Let's go to 2 Kings. 2 Kings chapter 5. And then we're going to get this leprosy thing, this leprous thing under wrap. First, let's go to the story of Gehazi. 2 Kings chapter 5. And we're going to start at verse 20. We're going to start at, first, well, I'm going to tell the story. I'm going to tell the story, then I'm going to read the very important part within the scriptures. Gehazi, first you need to understand that Elijah had cured the king of Syria, Naaman, of leprosy. Naaman, the king of Syria, yes, a black man, had to be cured of leprosy because he had leprosy. So he took him to the waters, I believe. What was it? The Jordan, I believe. It was a river. He didn't want to bathe in the water at first, but his servants convinced him to do it, and he was cured of leprosy. He put his pride aside, and he was cured of leprosy. Now he asked Elijah, did he want anything? You know how people are when you save them. Anything you need, I can give it to you. But Elijah said, no, just serve the Most High. Give him praise, just understand. But his servant Gehazi, he seen an opportunity to prosper, and he doubled back, and he did some behind the back type of stuff, and made Elijah look as if he wasn't stern on what he said. I'm gonna read. And I'm gonna read. He said, go in peace. So he departed from a little way. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, behold, my master has spared Naaman the Syrian, and is not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, I will run after him, and take somewhat of him. So Gehazi followed after Naaman, and when Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him, and said, is all well? And he said, all is well. My master has sent me, saying, behold, even now there be come to me from the mount of Ephraim 2 men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, and I pray thee, a talent of silver and 2 changes of garment. And the man said, be content, take 2 talents. And he urged him, and bound 2 talents of silver in the bag and 2 changes of garment, and laid them upon his 2 servants, and bare them before him. Now, as you see, Gehazi did something he wasn't supposed to do. He doubled back and spoke for his master, and said something that his master Gehazi hasn't told him to say. And Elijah is a man of God, so you're lying on the man of God? Let's see how this play out. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand and bestowed them in the house, and he let the men go, and they departed. But he went in and stood before his master, and Elijah said unto him, whence comest thou, Gehazi? And he said, thy servant went no whither. And he said unto him, went not my heart with thee when the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee? Is it a time to receive money and to receive garments and olive yards and vineyards and sheep and oxen and men servants and maid servants? The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cling unto thee and unto thy seed forever. And when he went out from his presence, leper, as white as snow. I'm going to read that again because they said this man left out white as snow all over. And it says that any seed that he shall have, the leprosy shall cling on to him. So that means this man can't have a so-called black child anymore because the leprosy has clinged onto his seed due to the curses. I'm going to read that again. The leprosy, therefore, of Naaman shall cling. This is 2 Kings, verse 5, chapter 27. If you don't know where I'm at. The leprosy, therefore, of Naaman shall cling unto thee and unto thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence a leper, as white as snow. As white as snow. I don't hear anybody calling Gehazi Esau, because we are already, Esau wasn't white. We already know that Esau, they said Esau was red and hairy. But here it says Gehazi was a leper as white as snow. So no, Esau is not the Caucasians. And the Japhites are a set of people. No white people don't come from albinos or from leprous black people. I'm going to prove that. That's another lie. White Japhites are Japhites. They're the Gentiles. They're who the Most High referred. They're the only son that's referred to as Gentiles amongst Noah's sons. So we know there was something special or something different with Japheth and his family, because they refer to them as Gentiles. They don't come from albino black people. This is another lie. They don't come from demons, even though they might look like the fallen according to the book of Enoch. They're not the fallen. They're the Japheth. Albinos can't stand the sun. I believe Japhites are what? 1 or 2 shades away from being albino, but they're not albinos. They're not lepers either. I'm going to prove that. Let's go to Exodus. Let's go to Exodus chapter 4. Because this leprous thing happened to Moses. So obviously this being turned leprous thing, and lepers is not boils on your face. When you type in lepers on Google and they show you people with boils on their face, that's a form of leprosy, but that's not the leprosy that Gehazi caught and that Moses ran into and that his sister Miriam ran into. And I'm going to prove that. Let's go to Exodus chapter 4. To prove that this leprosy is the whitening of the skin. And if you're black, it's terrifying to see your skin being turned white. This is something the Most High used as a sign and as a wonder to scare his people or to show his people that he meant business. And as you see, it's a curse in the case of Gehazi. It was only something good when it came to Noah. Otherwise, being black and being turned white isn't good. Or coming from somebody black and leaving out white is nothing good. If you're not a Japhite. And I'm going to read chapter 4 of Exodus. And Moses answered and said, Behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice, for they will say, The Lord hath not appeared unto thee. And the Lord said unto him, What is that in thine hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled before it. And the Elohim said unto Moses, Put forth thy hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand, that they may believe that the Elohim Yah of their fathers and the Elohim of Abraham and the Elohim of Isaac and the Elohim of Yaakov have appeared unto thee. And the Elohim said, Furthermore unto thee, put now thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. Leprous as snow. So when Moses put his hand in his bosom, his shirt or whatever, he took it out, it was white. It was white. So that's proof right there that the prophets, including Moses, couldn't have been white, because if you're white, you put your hand in your shirt and it comes out white, you're not going to be surprised. It's not going to be a wonder. or a sign if you put your hand in your shirt and you're white and it come out white. Maybe if it was black, but that's yet to happen. Now we're gonna keep reading. And he said, put thy hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again unto as his other flesh. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken unto the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. Now these are signs the Most High was showing Moses, that he could do anything as the Elohim. He has the ability to change a stick into a snake. He has the ability to change a black man into a white man. And that's what you see that happened in 2 Kings with Gehazi. Let's go to Numbers 12. Before we go to Numbers 12, we're going to go to Leviticus to get this all down pat. In Leviticus 13, it explains what leprosy is. Leviticus chapter 13. And Elohim spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, when a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, or a bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like a plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, and unto one of the sons of the priest. And the priest shall look on the plague in his skin of the flesh, and when the hair of the plague is turned white, and the plague in the sight is deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is the plague of leprosy. And the priest shall look upon him and pronounce him unclean. If the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in the sight not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof not be turned white, then the priest shall shut him up and have the plague for 7 days. Now, as you see, this leprosy is something you can be cured of. It's not a curse. The Canaanites were not cursed with leprosy. That's another lie. The leprosy, there's different forms of leprosy. The leprosy the Canaanites had were in the walls of the house. This is mold. This is mold. Come on now. This is leprosy on the skin. They're saying it right there. They're explaining to you in Leviticus 13. But you got people out there who want to mix up these scriptures to make their doctrine fit that the Canaanites were white. The Canaanites were a Hamite nation. We're going to continue to read. Because leprosy is something you can be cured of. If the priest find out that the leprosy is going away after they shut him up for 7 days, if somebody has leprosy and their skin comes back to where it used to be, they can come back into the camp. But if not, they have to be sent away because they're unclean. And if they turn all white, we're gonna read that they're clean lepers. No, they're not clean because they're still unclean because they're lepers. But they're all white lepers and they're clean lepers. I'm going to read. Then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the rising of the sword be white reddish on his bald head, as the leprosy appeared in the skin of the flesh, he is a leprous man, and he is unclean, and the priest shall pronounce him utterly unclean, and his plague in his head. And a leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent and his head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his upper lip and cry, unclean, unclean. All the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled, and he is unclean. He shall dwell alone, without the camp. Shall his habitation be. I'm going to jump to chapter 14. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, this shall be the law of the leper in the days of his cleansing. He shall be brought unto the priest, and the priest shall go forth out of the camp, and the priest shall look, and behold, if the plague of leprosy be healed in the leper, then shall the priest command to take him that is cleansed to 2 birds. See, we taking him again. If he's been cured of this disease that the Most High has created, called leprosy or being a leper, then he can come back. But it's not a curse, and it's only something the Most High does to show people. It's something that can be healed. It's a disease. It's a disease. White people can catch this. Black people can catch this. And Gehazi is a white man walking around that's originally a black man, as we read in 2 Kings. I'm Base Jerusalem. This is the Hebrew Life again. Shalom, brothers and sisters.